Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. Play as Naruto at the beginning. Chapter 91. After getting half of the Nine Tails, the Nine Tails will be able to advance to the Nine Tails chakra pattern of the Nine Tails chakra. Can Uchiha belts advance? Wu Chen thought about it carefully, and thought it should be okay. It's okay to play the role of a character, and Uchiha can't take the soil without reason. There are two conditions for the character to be advanced. One is that the progress of the performance reaches 50% or more, and the other is that the character gains strength. The first one has reached the soil. If the second one, for the soil, what is his strength? Recalling the story of Naruto, Wu Chen thought of three things: Kakashi's kaleidoscope of round eyes, reincarnation eyes, and 10 tails. These three are in the Naruto story. After thinking about it for a while, Wu Chen eliminated the 10 tails first. The reason is nothing else. Wu Chen couldn't figure it out at all. When testing the prices of other tail beasts before, Wu Chen tried to use wish cards to get 10 tails. After all, as long as you can become a 10-tailed person, then don't you just take off. As a result, the wish card showed that it could not be exchanged for 10 tails. Obviously, 10 tails can only exchange 9 tail beasts through Wu Chen himself, and then create a golem of outer Tao, so that 10 tails can appear. As for the outer golems, at least it will be possible to wait until Wu Chen can play the 6 paths of pain. Therefore, it is unrealistic to make a 10-tail for Tai Tu and let him advance into the 10-tailed man. As for the eyes of reincarnation, this is equally difficult. Because the riding wheel eyes in Hokage are really cool, Wu Chen tried it with a wish card in his spare time before, and how much does it cost to get a pair of eternal kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes? If the kaleidoscope is not the eternal eye, it is quite troublesome, and there is a danger of blindness. Wu Chen naturally doesn't want it, so at least it must be the eternal kaleidoscope to write the eye. Read more as a result, the wish card shows that it needs $50 million. This immediately dispelled Wu Chen's thoughts. He didn't have that much money at the time. The eternal kaleidoscope that is one level lower than the reincarnation eye costs 50 million yuan, and the reincarnation eye is less than $100 million. Just do it if he thinks it. Wu Chen tried it with a wish card and found that it really needed $100 million. In fact, if you want to exchange it, you can. After all, Wu Chen still has $110 million. Even if he exchanges for the eye of reincarnation, there will still be 10 million left. But the problem is that this tens of millions does not ensure that Wu Chen will become the perfect person of 9 tails and master the 9 tails chakra mode. Therefore, not all of this money can be exchanged for the eyes of reincarnation, and Wu Chen will also need money to help his cultivation follow-up, so naturally he can't invest all his brain into the eyes of reincarnation. In this way, only Hagi Kakashi's kaleidoscope of supernatural powers is left. This pair of kaleidoscope riding wheels were also very strong when they were gathered together, but at that time they were not used with soil, but Hagi Kakashi was using it. After not mentioning the completion, the Shinwei kaleidoscope rider round eye has the attack ability. The most important thing is that when a pair of kaleidoscopes exist at the same time, the pupil technique of Susao no Hu is unlocked. The blue and oversized Suzuo Nengu. This alone is enough reason to choose Shinwei kaleidoscope to write round eyes. After all, who can refuse the temptation to write a round eye with a kaleidoscope? In my mind, I decided to write the round eyes for the double magic kaleidoscope with soil supplement. Wu Chen used the wish card to enter an exchange for the single magic kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Single divine power kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Uchiha brought the soil to donate Haki Kakashi's writing wheel eye. The exchange cost 10 million yuan. A pair of eternal eyes needs 50 million, and a pair of ordinary kaleidoscope writing wheels needs 20 million. Naturally, it only needs 10 million to get it. 10 million, not expensive. Wu Chen immediately exchanged it, and then a test tube appeared in his hand. Inside the test tube was a kaleidoscope of strange triangle darts. Putting it away solemnly, Wu Chen immediately used the wish card again, exchanging a pair of kaleidoscope writing wheels with the same origin as Uchiha's soil kaleidoscope writing wheels. Single quote. A pair of kaleidoscope writing round eyes, with the same origin as Uchiha's soil, it costs 20 million yuan to exchange. Similarly, he exchanged without hesitation, and Wu Chen once again appeared in a test tube. This time inside the test tube were 2 kaleidoscopes of strange triangle darts. Take a closer look. There is a slight difference in the appearance of this pair of kaleidoscopes and the triangular darts of the kaleidoscope with soil. Obviously they are not the same pair. The reason why we exchanged another pair of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes with the same origin with the soil is very simple. Wu Chen not only has to complement the two gods' kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes for the soil, he also upgrades the writing wheel eyes with soil. The eternal kaleidoscope writes round eyes. The reason why Tai Tu was able to use his kaleidoscope abilities unscrupulously was that half of his body's cells were made up of intercolumn cells. And the wonderful combination of the cells between the pillars and Uchiha's writing wheel eyes, so that the earth can use the kaleidoscope ability like the eternal eyes. However, that is not the true eternal eye after all. Therefore, Wu Chen thought, since he has something as buggy as a wish card, why not upgrade the kaleidoscope with soil into the eye of eternity by the way? Anyway, no matter how strong the soil is, he is also his own character, and there is absolutely no possibility of betrayal. Letting the soil become stronger is equivalent to enhancing Wu Chen's comprehensive strength, and he is naturally willing to do so. Moreover, once the soil has the eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes, and there are interpillar cells in his body, the soil is very likely to open his own eyes of reincarnation. Wouldn't this save $100 million? As a result, Wu Chen has 3 more kaleidoscopes to write round eyes, and now the amount is only 80 million yuan. Putting the 3 kaleidoscopes into the drawer, Wu Chen did not immediately play the role of bringing the soil to advance him. The reason is simple, that is, he is unable to do so. Although the writing wheel in Naruto is like a U-disc plugged into the USB interface, anyone can use it, and anyone can plug it in, but that is the world of Naruto. On Marvel's side, I haven't seen anyone change their eyes to use it. Therefore, Wu Chen was cautious and decided to use the number of times to play the character to draw a powerful medical ninja, and then play the medical ninja to advance the soil. Of course, extracting medical ninjas is not a waste. After all, Tony Stark also needs a powerful medical ninja, so this is totally killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As for the powerful medical ninja, Wu Chen immediately appeared in his mind with a fierce and brainy character Konoha's 5th generation Naruto, and the 1st generation of Naruto's granddaughter Tsunade. This is not only invincible medical ninjutsu, but also unparalleled in combat power, already standing at the pinnacle of the shadow level. However, the problem is that Tsunade is a female, while Wu Chen is a male. If he played Tsunade, wouldn't it be equivalent to a women's clothing? No women's clothing. This will never work. Wu Chen immediately shook his head, eliminated it, and turned to think about other powerful medical ninjas. According to Wu Chen's requirements, he must have the ability of medical ninjutsu as well as strength. Read more at After thinking about it. After excluding Tsunade, only pharmacist will be left. The pharmacist can be the assistant of the -1, and the medical ninjutsu training is certainly not bad. In terms of strength, the pharmacist pocket is even more outstanding. After learning the fairy mode of Longdidong, the pharmacist improved the rebirth of the dirty soil and directly brought the soil together, and the two set off the 4th war of the ninja world in one fell swoop. You can see the strength of the pharmacist pocket from here. If he is weak, how can bring the soil to cooperate with him? However, the immortal mode pharmacist's appearance of being neither human nor ghost made Wu Chen a little bit grudged. With the 2 choices now, Tsunade needs women's clothing, and Yakushi's pocket is a bit ugly, and it is difficult for Wu Chen to make a choice. But in fact, even if he makes a choice, it's useless, because when selecting characters to play, Wu Chen can only narrow the scope of the selection, and it is not always true that anyone is drawn. It may be Tsunade, it may be the pharmacist pocket of the fairy model, or it may be someone else. It's useless to think too much. Wu Chen directly used the opportunity to draw characters from the system when the progress of the performance with soil reached 50%. Moreover, he kept chanting, "Powerful medical ninja," in his heart. Ding, the character is being drawn. Following the system's words, a series of figures flashed through Wu Chen's mind. In the end, the picture in my mind stayed on a silver-haired, red-eyed, iron forehead with a face guard style, 3 red marks on his cheeks, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform and a blue fold on the outside. Layered armor, with a white down fur collar attached to the back of the man on the shoulders. This is. Wu Chen was dumbfounded. Ding. Congratulations to the host who played the role in the draw. Naruto World Konoha Hidamura, the second generation of Hokage Senshoma. Thick surprises and doubts flooded into Wu Chen's mind. What he liked was the powerful strength of Chinshojian. Not only did he develop and master many forbidden techniques, but his one-handed water escape ninjutsu was called the Water God, and the doubt was, why is the powerful medical ninja a Senjuken? Isn't he a forbidden man and the strongest water escape? Recalling the story of Naruto, Wu Chen was shocked. When he was just thinking about the powerful medical ninja, he missed the founder of medical ninjutsu, Konoha's first generation of Naruto, the god of the ninja Chijujutsu between. Perhaps many people don't know why Konoha's medical ninjutsu is so strong. The reason is simple, because medical ninjutsu is a ninjutsu system developed by Senjutsu based on his physique. After his death, Tsunade inherited medical ninjutsu and carried it forward, so Konoha's medical ninjutsu was so powerful. Then, among the powerful medical ninjas, there must be Senjuzuma and Senjukaima. Thousands of ninjutsu is extremely talented, otherwise he would not be able to develop so many ninjutsu and forbidden skills. In this way, he would naturally learn the very practical medical ninjutsu developed by his brother Chijuma. This is not my rhetoric. If you don't believe me, you can search for medical ninjutsu on Baidu to find the corresponding information. Therefore, Senjuken is of course a strong medical ninjutsu. Thinking of this, Wu Chen suddenly regretted, I had known this a long time ago, I would have been talking about Chinshujujian. When Wu Chen chooses to play characters, it is not based on how strong the characters are. This is only the second choice index. The first choice index is whether it suits his current needs. That's why he didn't directly kill Datongmuie or Lu Dao Immortal. But now, he needs medical ninjutsu, and Senjujutsu is the founder of medical ninjutsu. The most important thing is that Chinshozujian's unmatched strength. It can be said that no one can fight against him except Uchiha Madara, not even his brother Senshojian. Speaking of disrespect of Senshojanma, Senshozuma can definitely hammer his younger brother Senshojanma between turning hands. The god of ninja world is no joke. That's why Wu Chen regretted not chanting about Chinshozujian before drawing. However, after another thought, it was just right to miss it. Chinshojanjian is strong, but Wu Chen thinks that he shouldn't be the opponent of the nine-tailed chakra mode, but he is also a super shadow level power. In this case, Konoha added a super shadow class powerhouse, and Akatsuki would not be unable to counteract it. As long as you draw Pen's 6 paths by yourself later, it's okay. But if Konoha's side adds a Senjuan, then Akatsuki will finish the game directly. There is one thing to say, even if it is Pen's 6 paths, it will definitely be hammered by the Thousand Hands pillars. In that case, how would Wu Chen's plan go ahead? How is this acting? If you really want to do this, isn't it a fake match? Although Wu Chen used to be left-handed and right-handed, it was too easy for others to see the flaws in a completely counterfeit match. So, fortunately, I didn't get the 1,000 show pillars, but the thousands of hands. If you draw a strong man who knows medical ninjutsu, you can proceed with the plan of bringing the Earth Dual Power plus Eternal Eye Advanced. Read more at. As a result, Wu Chen immediately separated a shadow avatar, the main body acting as Chinshojanma, and the shadow avatar playing Uchiha Daido. In the next second, the second generation Hokage Senjuma in the classic costume and the masked man Uchiha stood in the room with soil. As soon as he started acting as Chinshojian, Wu Chen felt a steady flow of physical power rushing towards him. At this time, Wu Chen suddenly realized that his previous judgment that Chinshojianjian was inferior to the nine-tailed chakra pattern was wrong. Not to mention anything else, this physical power alone has already surpassed the wave of Feng Shui Gate. However, the nine-tailed chakra mode will also increase physical strength, so if you really want to judge who is strong, you have to fight a game before you know. Wu Chen guessed that the strength between Nine-Tail Watergate and Chinshuguan should be roughly equal. After feeling the power of 1,000 hands, Wu Chen looked at the masked man. The masked man didn't need to say Wu Chen, and lay directly on the bed. After all, he was played by Wu Chen, the shadow avatar, and it can be said that he is the most aware of Wu Chen's existence in the world. Lie down with the soil. Wu Chen played Chinshojanjian and took out the divine power kaleidoscope that had been exchanged before. The chakra scalpel was lighted up in the left hand. The right hand first took off the mask with dirt, and then lifted the left eyelid with dirt, and the chakra scalpel with the left hand swept across, and then Wu Chen gently took it, and the dirt on the left eye picked it off. Taking out the Divine Power Kaleidoscope Writing Wheel Eye, and by the way put the removed ordinary 3-Go Jade Writing Wheel Eye, Wu Chen pressed the Divine Power Kaleidoscope into the left eye socket with soil. Finally, Wu Chen produced fluorescent green chakras with both hands and pressed them on his left eye to connect the nerves and muscles of the eyeball. Shuang Shenwei brings soil, complete. But this was not over yet. Next, Wu Chen took out the 2 kaleidoscopes that were homologous with the soil and directly pressed them into the soil-containing eye sockets, squeezing them into full. Although it looks cruel, but there is no way, this is the process of kaleidoscope writing round eyes evolving into eternal eyes. The kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes will merge under the will of the owner, and eventually the 2 pairs of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes will evolve into a pair of eternal kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. Wrapped with gauze around the soiled head that looked a little abnormal, the shadow avatar Wu Chen released the acting mode, and automatically released the shadow avatar. At this time, Wu Chen looked at the system panel again and found that single quote dot opening square bracket. Mysterious Mask Man Uchiha takes soil, 51%. After clicking the question mark, the prompt text that was almost the same as before Bofeng Shuamen popped up. Playing the mysterious mask of the character Uchiha with soil meets the requirements for character advancement. Is it advanced? Special reminder. You can't play as a character during the advanced stage, but after the advanced level is completed, you will be awarded an additional number of times to play the character. This time Wu Chen didn't hesitate and clicked yes. Then, the text prompt pops up. Mysterious Mask Male Uchiha Belt Soil Right Pointing Arrow Double God Kaleidoscope Writing Wheel Eyes Uchiha Belt Soil Eternal Eyes. In the advanced stage, the time required to advance is 29 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. That's it. Wu Chen is satisfied. Next, as long as you wait for the advancement of enemy Fengshoumen and Uchiha to complete, you can start a new round of action. Then, Wu Chen dismissed the acting mode of Chinshojian and turned to practice. A month's time is neither long nor short. 1 month can let Jin learn all the ninjutsu that the masked man gave him, and let him develop an intimate relationship with the scorpion. 1 month can also allow Wu Chen to successfully cultivate into the fairy mode, and practice Feng Dun Spiral Pill Shuriken. 1 month can also let the whole world know about Akatsuki and Konoha, the mysterious masked man, Heifeng Mizuman, and Kyubi. In this month's time, the reputation of the ninja continued to spread, and eventually spread to every corner of the world. Because of this, Wu Chen encountered several solicitations from different forces. Among these forces, there is Hydra hiding in it. However, after Wu Chen clearly stated that he was an advisor to S.H.I.E.L.D., these forces ceased their actions. In this kind of thing, S.H.I.E.L.D. is still useful. When Hydra learned that Wu Chen was an advisor to S.H.I.E.L.D., it stopped acting like other organizations. After all, Wu Chen is not weak. Backed by the powerful Konoha village, forcibly recruiting may be counterproductive, and for no reason to provoke powerful enemies for Hydra. Moreover, Hydra felt that S.H.I.E.L.D. all belonged to Hydra. Then Wu Chen, who joined S.H.I.E.L.D., rounded up, isn't he also a Hydra? However, Hydra didn't know that Wu Chen joined S.H.I.E.L.D. as an advisor to S.H.I.E.L.D., just like Iron Man Tony Stark in a mode of not listening. Moreover, he and S.H.I.E.L.D. had also agreed long ago that he would not participate in major events unless he took the initiative. Wu Chen and others felt that this month had been very long and fulfilling, but Tony Stark felt that this month was not enough. He went to Europe on a business trip and came back to take a look. Times Square is in ruins. Tony, who regarded New York as his own turf, naturally began to investigate as soon as possible. Then he found the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and through his position as an advisor to S.H.I.E.L.D., he hacked into the S.H.I.E.L.D. database and knew everything. Sure enough, someone with bad intentions has control of chakra. Read more at. With a sigh, Tony left S.H.I.E.L.D. and began to look for and investigate Akatsuki with his own power. However, for an organization that is almost non-existent, Tony can't find it no matter how high technology is used. This made Tony a strong sense of frustration. If it weren't for chatting with Wu Chen and being comforted by Wu Chen, Tony might have thoughts of abandonment. Of course, the reason why Tony has a tendency to give up on his own is not only because he could not find Akatsuki and Konoha, but also because he wears and uses the mini-reactor for a long time, which causes the palladium in his body to exceed the standard. Simply put, Tony palladium is poisoned. If he continues to use the steel suit, Tony will die from palladium poisoning. However, how could Tony give up his steel suit? This is his most outstanding invention in history, and it is also the basis for him to become a superhero. If there is no solution, Tony will eventually die due to palladium poisoning. There are solutions, such as the development of new elements to replace palladium as the reaction energy of the microreactor, but how difficult is it to create a new element? Or come to an operation to take out all the shrapnel from Tony's body, so that Tony doesn't have to be in close contact with the palladium element in the microreactor. But the problem is that the risk of this operation is extremely high, and it is very likely to die on the operating table. It is impossible for Tony to put his fate in the hands of others, so he rejected the proposal for surgery. He didn't come up with new elements and was unwilling to undergo surgery. Tony's palladium poisoning situation became more and more serious day by day, and his death period became more and more obvious. This is the real reason why Tony feels that this month is not enough. What's more, Stark Industries is going to hold an expo, and 1 month's preparation time is indeed not enough. Fortunately, Tony has handed over these chores and trivial matters to his girlfriend, Pepper Potts, the acting president of Stark Industries, so he was able to come and chat with Wu Chen during his busy schedule. It was night, and Tony was wearing a steel suit and flew directly to the door of Wu Chen's house. Bang bang bang, Wu Chen opened the door and walked out, and he saw the sulky Iron Man suit. He frowned and was about to close the door to thank the guests. But Tony stopped him. "Hi, Wu, don't be so ruthless." After stopping, Iron Man squeezed in the door abruptly, then the steel suit splintered automatically, and Tony in casual clothes walked out. "Wu, are you making dinner?" "I was doing it, I was interrupted by you." "Well, good, my fault. You go cook, don't let the vegetables go mashed." Tony urged Wu Chen to re-enter the kitchen. In the past month, whenever Tony was upset, he would come to Wu Chen's side, chatting with Wu Chen, and by the way, although Wu Chen only cooks 4 dishes, the taste of those 4 dishes surpasses all the dishes Tony has ever eaten. That's why he often comes over with a shy face. Wu Chen disliked this on the surface, but he was more willing in his heart. After all, having been in Marvel World for so long, he has only one friend, Tony. Of course, the reason why Wu Chen indulges Tony so much, chats with him, and cooks for him is not just because Tony is his friend. It is also to look for opportunities to introduce Chinshojanma to Tony and treat the symptoms of palladium poisoning for him, so that Chinshojanma harvest plays the role of progress. Within a month, the existence of Chinshojian was already known to S.H.I.E.L.D. The reason is simple. Wu Chen directly used the shadow clone to play Chinshojanma, and then under the leadership of the ontology, he contacted S.H.I.E.L.D. Chinshojian's initial play progress is only 10%. After a month of harvesting tasks to gain play progress, now it has come to 20%. There is one saying that it is only 10% a month, which is really slow. Recalling that at the end of the Nine Tails Rebellion, the play progress that brought the soil soared by 14%, after a little comparison between the two, Wu Chen immediately determined that he must do something big. However, you can't do big things now, at least you have to wait until Uchiha's advancement of the soil and the wind-water gate is completed. Wu Chen positioned himself and Konoha as a good person, so big things have to be provoked by the bad guys, and they go to calm them down. This kind of process is good. And the wicked, of course Akatsuki was organized. Now that the wicked are not ready yet, naturally they can't do big things. However, today is the last day of the countdown to the advancement of the 2 actors. Looking at the countdown, the Water Gate 00 days 1 hours 59 minutes 59 seconds, Uchiha Belt Soil 00 days 2 hours 59 minutes 59 seconds. After 2 or 3 hours, you can officially start doing big things. Now, let's charge Tony's playing progress first. After cooking dinner in twos, they called Tony to help serve the food, and then the two had dinner while chatting. After dinner, Wu Chen consciously put a portion of food packed during cooking into the lunchbox and handed it to Tony. This is customary. Every time Tony goes, he has to bring a portion to Little Pepper, which can be said to be true love. Read more at taking the lunchbox. Tony smacked his lips, waved his hand to Wu Chen, and was about to leave with the lunchbox. At this moment in the past, Wu Chen would watch Tony leave. But this time, he stopped Tony, Tony, your illness, maybe I can do it. As the object of confession, Wu Chen naturally knew Tony's situation. However, when Tony told Wu Chen, he concealed a little bit, such as, I was poisoned by heavy metals for some undisclosed reason. Hearing Wu Chen's words, Tony paused and turned his head to look at Wu Chen. His eyes flickered, and a faint hint of hope appeared. Konoha has a way. Tony had long known that Wu Chen had been in contact with the mysterious organization Konoha Village when he was a teacher of Bo Feng Shui. Wu Chen nodded and said, there are many systems for using chakras ninjutsu, and one of them is called medical ninjutsu. Medical ninjutsu. Tony hesitated. You know, I don't want to have surgery. Wu Chen shook his head. Don't worry, medical ninjutsu is different from modern medicine. Let's put it this way. People who are proficient in medical ninjutsu can treat your disease easily. Tony was immediately overjoyed when he heard this. Knowing that Wu Chen would not lie about this kind of thing, he quickly asked, who knows the medical ninjutsu? Could it be you? With that said, Tony walked to Wu Chen happily, raised his hand and patted Wu Chen on the shoulder. I didn't see it. You are so versatile, not only cooking delicious food, but also medical ninjutsu. Yes, Wu Chen immediately pulled Tony's hand from his shoulder with a look of disgust. It's not me, I'm busy practicing. How can I have time to learn medical ninjutsu? It's someone you should know, he's quite active recently. Someone I know. Tony's head turned. I know, it's related to Konoha, ninja. He quickly came to the conclusion, second generation Hokage Senshuken. The answer is correct. Wu Chen clapped his hands. The founder of medical ninjutsu is Konoha's first generation Naruto Chizuma, and Kuma is the younger brother of Chizuma, so he has no idea weak medical ninjutsu. It just happens that he is free today, so I will ask him to come over and help you heal. By the way, you will remember to be a little more formal later, and treat this as a commission, so that the chances of the master agreeing to it will be higher. So it's like this, Tony murmured, and then he looked at Wu Chen. Why help me like this? Wu Chen waved his hand. Aren't we friends? Although you guys still love to eat, I can't watch you die. If you can help you, naturally I will help. Tony was moved. Wu Chen reached out his hand to refuse, and scolded with a smile. Go. I'm not interested in men. Tony didn't care about Wu Chen's strength, knowing that he was saved. His mood was much better. Wu, you wait, I will give you a surprise later. Wu Chen shook his head. Don't be scared, I always think that the surprise you prepare will not be a real surprise. Before talking to Tony, when he was washing dishes in the kitchen, Wu Chen had arranged the shadow clone to play the Chinsho Jianjian. Now that he and Tony have made it clear, Chinsho Jianjian directly used the technique of the thunder god to appear beside Wu Chen under Wu Chen's hint. Seeing Chinshojian, Wu Chen immediately bowed his head and saluted, Master Feijian. Thank you very much for coming. You don't need to be polite. Chinsho Janma waved his hand boldly, obviously cold-faced and serious, but had a bold personality that didn't match his appearance. This was Chinsho Janma. You are a 4th-generation disciple. You can also say that you are my junior. This little thing is nothing. After saying this, he turned his head to look at Tony, and looked at Tony with those red pupils. Tony was stunned. He didn't seem to expect Sensho to come over so soon. Ah, that, Mr. Sensho, can you treat my palladium poisoning disease? After Chinshufa heard the words, he still nodded coldly. If there is no accident, it shouldn't be difficult to cure you. That's great. The embarrassment in Tony's heart naturally disappeared when his life was involved. Then Senju-san, do you want to check first? I mean, you can take a look at the specific situation first. This request is very reasonable, and it is natural that I will not fail to agree to it. So Tony lay on the sofa and squatted aside with Chinshojian, with a glow of green light appearing on his palms, gently pressing on Tony's chest. After a moment, he withdrew his hand. Wu Chen asked nervously, Master Shujian, can it be cured? Tony heard the words and looked at Chinsho Janma nervously. Under the gaze of the two, Chinshojian nodded, it can be cured. Tony was immediately ecstatic, but before he said anything, he heard Chinshojian said. There are shrapnel residues in your body. The thing on your chest should be able to absorb those shrapnels and prevent them from flowing into your heart. But it is precisely because your body is in direct contact with the thing on your chest, which leads to certain substances in this thing inevitably enter your body, so you will be poisoned by metals. Tony's eyes widened. He didn't expect that his details would be completely exposed when he touched it with 1,000 hands. Don't panic, I came here just to treat you, and I will solve your problem for you. Chinsho Janma was expressionless. Read more at Wu Chen also nodded. Master Feijian has a very good personality, Tony, trust your lord. Looking at Wu Chen, and then at Chinshojian, Tony finally nodded. Wu, I believe you. Then, Mr. Chinsho, I entrust you to treat all my injuries. For this, I am willing to pay $5 million as a reward. Tony has not forgotten what Wu Chen said just now, and if he entrusts the task, the possibility of agreeing with 1,000 hands is high. As for $5 million, these are nothing to Tony. He is willing to pay no amount of money for his own health. 5 million, Chinshojian was slightly surprised, but did not bargain. After all, Chinshojian had nothing to do with Tony, and it was reasonable to get paid for tasks. So he nodded and said, yes, I accept the commission. However, I want cash. No problem. Tony nodded immediately. When will the treatment start? Where? Now, right here. As he said, Chinshojian raised his hand to pull out the miniature reactor on Tony's chest. Oh, buddy, let me do it myself. Thousands of hands were rude, and Tony hurriedly stopped, and unloaded the reactor himself. Mr. Chisho, do you really need to change to a sterile environment? My laboratory there is a sterile room. Sensho glanced at Tony and shook his head slightly. No. Medical ninjutsu doesn't need those things. After all, the bright green light in his hand rose sharply, and then he directly pressed his palm into the big hole on Tony's chest. Hoo. Tony only felt a warm current pouring into his chest, and then the position of the shrapnel was faintly hot. He looked down subconsciously and saw Chinshojian raising his hand, a piece of shrapnel wrapped in the emerald green chakra. Is it pulled out? Tony is dumb, and the shrapnel that has troubled him for so long has been casually made out of Chinshojian here. Medical ninjutsu is really amazing. Even if he is as proud as Tony, he has to admit it at this moment. After that, it followed the same pattern. A total of 14 pieces of shrapnel were taken out. After taking out the shrapnel, Chinshojian did not stop the treatment, but continued to launch the palm immortal technique. Shattering. A mass of black material was taken out of Tony's chest and gathered, about the size of a fist. These are the palladium substances in Tony's body. After removing the palladium element, Chinshojian violently removed the iron hole on Tony's chest where the reactor was installed, and then launched the palm fairy technique again. After a while, Tony looked at his undamaged chest in surprise, tears streaming out unconsciously. Seeing this scene, Chinsho said, give the money directly to Wu Chen, and let him pass it to me. I have something to do, so I'll leave. From the time he was forced to become Iron Man, Tony was tortured by the foreign body in his chest. In addition to the stinging from time to time, it is also very uncomfortable when taking a bath. Not only that, but the life-saving reactor on it has begun to endanger his life. Tony felt that he was really too difficult. But now, all the palladium elements in his body that might kill him have been removed, all the shrapnel that would pierce his heart have been taken out, and even the big hole in his chest has recovered. Feeling a slightly weak but very relaxed body, Tony turned around and wanted to thank Chinshumanma, but he did not see the person who was Chinshumanma. Wu Chen reminded. Master Feijian has something to do, he has already left. Tony remembered what Chinsho said, and nodded, then he raised his foot and walked over to hug Wu Chen directly. Wu, thank you very much. I will send the money to someone, and you look forward to it. Surprise. By the way, I took these shrapnel. I plan to use these shrapnel to make a necklace for Little Pepper. After all, these things used to be so close to my heart, as close as Little Pepper. In a storm, Tony put on a steel suit and left with shrapnel, but Wu Chen watched Tony's departure with a black face. You leave, why do you have to give me a mouthful of dog food? It's great to have a girlfriend. Hateful. After a while, Happy came over, he handed a box to Wu Chen, and then left. Taking the box home and looking at it, it turned out to be $5 million in cash. As a result, Wu Chen's remaining amount is $75 million US. It should have been 85 million, but 10 million of them were used by Wu Chen to assist Fengdun Helix Maru Shuriken and Immortal Mode cultivation. After receiving the money, Wu Chen took a look at the progress of Chinshu's play, 28%. A direct increase of 8%, it's very nice. Iron Man is worthy of being the son of the plane of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He saved his life and even gave so much. Then, Wu Chen looked at the countdown of the two characters, one for 1.5 hours and the other for 2.5 hours. It only took half an hour to treat Tony just after eating. It was still early, and now Wu Chen couldn't calm down to cultivate. After thinking about it, he decided to communicate with Nine Tails again and issue an ultimatum. For a month, Wu Chen has not only practiced Fengdun Helixmaru Shuriken in Immortal Mode, he has also tried to communicate with and influence the Nine Tails on his own, and eventually become a perfect human Zuli like Naruto. He didn't intend to cheat from the beginning, he really wanted to be friends with Kyuubi. However, Kyuubi was extremely uncooperative. Every time Wu Chen faced Juwei, he would be directly washed away by the huge chakra flow, and then his consciousness would leave the sealed space. After doing this for dozens of times, Wu Chen did not enter the sealed space afterwards, but concentrated on cultivating the wind escape in Immortal Mode. The reason why Nine Tails treated Wu Chen like this was because it came to the Marvel world from the very beginning, and what it saw was Xuanyan, and then the Watergate couple hammered him. Wu Chen, a marginal figure, was also onlookers during the Hanging Hammer, and even coveted its body in the end. Of course, the most important thing is that Kyuubi, who has the ability to perceive the good and evil of the human heart, has judged that the Bofeng Shuaman and the Masked Man are actually Wu Chen. This is not the author Junshi. Kyuubi has the ability to perceive the good and evil of people's hearts. This can be seen from the Naruto in the Nine-Tailed Chakra mode and the person who can distinguish by Ju's transformation. Wu Chen's greatest secret was discovered by a tail beast. It is precisely because of this that Juwei is unwilling to accept Wu Chen all his life. If you have time, Wu Chen can spend it slowly with him, so that Kyuubi finally understands that he is actually a good person. But now, in Wu Chen's plan, his ontology also needs to improve his strength as soon as possible. Therefore, he has no time to spend with Kyuubi. If Kyuubi is still unwilling to communicate with him, then he will cheat. Lying on the bed and closing his eyes, Wu Chen's consciousness slowly sank into the sealed space. Ticking. It was a huge space filled with stagnant water, just like Naruto's sealed space. Lifting his foot on top of the stagnant water, Wu Chen walked step by step in the dark. Wow! His eyes suddenly lit up, and suddenly a huge iron gate appeared. The iron gate is not at the top, and there is no margin on both sides. It seems that the iron gate is used to separate the seal space and divide it into two worlds. One is Wu Chen's mind, and the other, behind the iron gate, is a huge nine-tailed fox with orange fur and 9 tails. At this moment, the fox is closing his eyes and sleeping sleepy. Seeing this, Wu Chen didn't hesitate and shouted directly, "Hey! 9 llamas!" Hoo. Juwei was startled. It glanced at Wu Chen with disgust in his eyes. Then he got up slightly, and the monstrous wave of red chakra appeared, directly gushing out of the big iron gate, and hit Wu Chen hard. At the same time, Kyuubi finally spoke, "Get out!" Bang! Wu Chen opened his eyes suddenly, and he saw the ceiling of his room. Getting up from the bed, Wu Chen narrowed his eyes and made up his mind. Friendly pill, usage, swallow, effect. The swallower's favorability towards the feeder is gradually increased, and finally to max, without side effects, can be incorporated into the consciousness space, aging, permanent. It takes 50 million yuan to exchange for one. This is what Wu Chen decided to exchange with his wish card after careful selection. Other items that increase favorability are either time effective and poorly effective, or effective and timeless, but too expensive. Only this is within Wu Chen's acceptance range. After confirming what to exchange, Wu Chen immediately chose to exchange it. Minus 50 million yuan. Now, Wu Chen still has 25 million yuan left. After the exchange, a small blue pill appeared in Wu Chen's hand, just like an ordinary mint candy. Looking at this appearance alone, there is nothing commendable, but there is no side effect that affects the mental effect of the intelligent life body, which is already at the level of heaven. This effect, even the most buggy kaleidoscope writing wheel eye pupil technique in Naruto other gods can't compare. After all, the other gods distorted the other's cognition, and this pill did not have any effect on human cognition. According to the theory in fantasy novels, the liking pill is a rule-level item. As long as you take my medicine, you are my person. JPG. That's why this pill is so expensive, and it is the same price as the eternal kaleidoscope. Holding the pill, Wu Chen thought of Zhu Wei's attitude towards him, and did not directly enter the sealed space. After all, even if Wu Chen went in with a pill, he couldn't feed it to Nine Tails. Therefore, a strong man must go in with him, hold down the Nine Tails, and forcefully feed the medicine. Therefore, Wu Chen used the shadow avatar technique, and let the shadow avatar act as Chinshojianma again. In fact, taking soil is more suitable for the current situation. Even if there is no exclusive illusion, you can use illusion to force control of the Nine Tails under the blessing of kaleidoscope. That way, Zhu Wei can open his mouth and take medicine. But there is no way, the belt soil is still in the advanced stage, and the same is true for the Bofeng Shuaman, then you can only trouble the second generation of lords. Read more at There is no need to say Wu Chen. Qinshu felt his mind, and put his hand on Wu Chen's shoulder. Then, Wu Chen's consciousness sank into the sealed space and came to the iron fence in front of the Zhu Wei gate. Turning his head to see, Qinshu Janma was beside him as expected. The entry between Wu Chen and Qinshupai disturbed Qiu Wei. Qiu Wei looked up and saw the two of them. Kawaii perceived them in good faith, and Qiu Wei knew that this Qinshupai was also Wu Chen. Roll. Along with the roar of Nine Tails, the red chakra wave appeared again, rushing towards Wu Chen and Qinshufa. However, this time, the two stood firmly and did not waver. The reason is simple, the mind and will of Qinshojian is very strong. Although Wu Chen's combat power is not weak, at least at the quasi-shadow level, his time for gaining power is too short, and his mind and will are not consistent, so he was overturned by Nine Tails again and kicked out of the sealed space. But the Qinshojian is different. The powerful who survived the Warring States world are very determined. Even though Wu Chen played the Qinsho Zhangjian at this moment, the acting system has completely restored the real Qinsho Zhangjian. Such him would naturally not be shaken by Kyubi. Incidentally, Wu Chen also stood firmly in place. Nine Tails was stunned. It thought that Wu Chen had used some tricks to play multiple roles. But I didn't expect that Wu Chen really made 1,000 hands. Because he was often beaten by Sensho Zuma, Kyubi knew about Sensho Janma and knew that his strength was enough to subdue him. Therefore, it did not continue to try to beat Wu Chen out, but twisted its head and ignored Wu Chen. It really is a Tsunere fox. Wu Chen sighed, and then let Qinshojian walk into the sealed gate. Kyubi was startled and looked at Qinsho Janma viciously, but it was useless. If you don't agree, just go ahead. After sealing the gate, Qinshojian and Kyubi fought. Seeing this, Wu Chen didn't mean to pay attention to morality. He directly joined the battle group, and together with Qinshojian, besieged Nine Tails. If it were a complete Nine-Tailed, Qinshojian might not be an opponent, but now Nine-Tailed is only half, and its power is only half. Coupled with Wu Chen's participation in the battle, Nine-Tailed soon fell into a disadvantage. Crackling. A few minutes later, Qinshojian pressed the neck of Zhu Wei and fixed it to the ground, while Wu Chen took out a small pill, broke Zhu Wei's mouth abruptly, and threw it in between his teeth. Smelly kid. What did you eat for the old man? Kyubi was furious and roared. Wu Chen spread his hands. It's just a gadget that allows you to talk to me well. After that, Wu Chen let go of the Nine Tails with Qinsho and retreated outside the sealed iron gate. You go back. There is nothing to do with you next, Wu Chen said to Qinshojian. On the other hand, Qinsho Janma nodded under the surprised gaze of Kyubi, and exited the sealed space. As for Wu Chen's ability to play multiple roles by himself, Kawai's mental state is constantly changing. At first, Qiu Wei felt that Wu Chen had used Sha San's methods to achieve that. But after it saw the power of Qinshojian, its idea was shaken. When its head was pressed on the ground by Sensho Janma, the familiar feeling made Kyubi realize that this was the real Sensho Janma. But now, the human being in front of him waved his hand, and Qinshojian actually left very obediently. This is simply, come when you move, and go when you move. At this time, Zhu Wei's impression of Wu Chen changed. From the very beginning, the low than 3 indiscriminate hot chicken humans, they have transformed into humans with some strength and means. Wu Chen naturally saw the change in Zhu Wei's eyes. And he knew exactly why Kyubi would be like this. After all, the likability pill is not for nothing. At this moment, there is still some time before the two characters of Tai Tu and Watergate are advanced. Wu Chen sat down cross-legged, intending to chat with Ninetales and speed up the digestion of the favorability pills. Seeing Wu Chen sitting down, Zhu Wei hesitated and sat down. Hello, Nine-tailed Nine Llama, when we meet for the first time, let me introduce myself first. My name is Wu Chen. Wu Chen said hello sincerely and calmly. For some reason, seeing Wu Chen like this, Zhu Wei suddenly felt that Wu Chen was quite pleasing to the eye. At least, from his birth to the present, apart from the 6 old men, Wu Chen is the first person to treat himself like this. Kyubi began to reflect, was he too arbitrary before? Maybe Wu Chen did it like that, even assaulting himself, it would be hard for him. No, it's a fact that he beat himself, what can he have? Thinking of this, Ninetales glared at Wu Chen, then twisted his head, very proud. Wu Chen didn't care and continued to speak. Read more at first of all, he explained his origin, Kyubi, in fact, my situation is the same as yours, I also came from another world. In that world, regardless of Kyo Tails who seemed to be disdainful on the surface, but actually listened carefully, Wu Chen talked about his past life, talked about his journey, and talked about the system. It stands to reason that the secrets of the Traverser and the secrets of the system are very important and cannot be disclosed casually. But now, Wu Chen has said everything to Zhu Wei. The reason is simple. Don't look at Zhu Wei now being rebellious and hostile to Wu Chen, but when his favorability rises, it will be as meek as a kitten in front of Wu Chen. Ninetales at that time, even if they knew about Wu Chen, they would keep Wu Chen a secret. What's more, Wu Chen really needs someone to be a tree hole and talk about his pressure. One person plays so many characters, and also makes so many things. Wu Chen, who was originally an ordinary person, was actually under great psychological pressure. In this case, if his psychological pressure continues to accumulate, it is likely to cause problems in his mental state. When there is a problem with the mental state, it is easy to become a neurotic, mentally ill patient among the general population. Wu Chen doesn't want to be a mentally ill patient, so he must find a way to relieve stress. Find someone to talk to, this is the best way for now. Now it seems that Wu Chen has found a very suitable person to talk to. That's right, it's Nine-tailed Nine Llamas. After all, Ninetales can only stay in Wu Chen's body, unable to talk to other people. What's more, when Zhu Wei's affection for Wu Chen reaches the highest level, Zhu Wei will completely regard Wu Chen as the closest person. Such Ninetales would never hurt Wu Chen, and Wu Chen could completely trust the existence. By that time, Wu Chen will no longer be alone. Listening to Wu Chen's chattering, Zhu Wei's posture also changed from arrogantly turning his head to looking straight at Wu Chen. Kyubi has never seen such a frank human being. At this moment, it suddenly felt trusted. That's why you summoned me in that place and then hit me. Wu Chen nodded when he heard the words, Nine Llama, I am very sorry. I have to do that. After all, only Ninetales are worthy of such treatment, and the other tail beasts are still slightly weaker. As soon as this word came out, Kyubi immediately opened his eyes and smiled, but he still tried to sullen his face. Then why did you divide me into two? I remember you divided me into two, although I can feel the other half of me alive, but I don't know where it is. Upon hearing this question, Wu Chen knew that this was the only psychological obstacle that Zhu Wei had for him at the moment. Just get rid of this, it will become its own docile kitty. Therefore, Wu Chen said earnestly, in my follow-up plan, 10 tails will definitely emerge. Nine Llama, you know, 10 tails can only emerge from your 9 fusions plus the golem of outer Tao. But, I don't want you to disappear like this. Let's put it this way. Among the 9 big-tailed beasts, the 9 llama I like the most are you. This is not a lie. Wu Chen's favorite is the 9-tailed chakra mode, but doesn't this mean that he likes 9-tailed? That's why I divided you into 2. It turned out to be like this. Kyubi, who has lived for a long time, is not stupid, on the contrary, it is still very smart. Moreover, with the perception of good and evil, it can clearly judge that all the words Wu Chen said at this moment are all truthful, and there is no half a lie. It had just learned about Wu Chen's troubles in the Marvel world in order to survive. So the 10-tailed people appeared, and the 10-tailed person Zuli was also expected by the 9 tails. But it didn't expect that Wu Chen actually divided himself into two because he liked himself and didn't want to let him disappear. Suddenly, an inexplicable feeling appeared in the heart of Nine-Tailed Nine Llama. That's the feeling that the cat owner likes to his poop shoveling officer. Nine Tails live in the sealed space, and the sealed space is Wu Chen's consciousness space. Isn't the relationship between them the shoveling officer and the cat owner? Therefore, this kid is sincere with him, and it doesn't seem to be a bad thing to get along well with him. The Nine Llama couldn't help thinking like this. Seeing the softening of Kyuubi's expression, Wu Chen knew that the effect of the medicine had fully taken effect, so he decided to work harder and attack Kyuubi in one fell swoop. Standing up and coming to the sealed iron gate, Wu Chen looked at Ju Wei and said, "Ju Lama, can I trust you?" Kyuubi was stunned, as if he had guessed what Wu Chen was going to do. He couldn't help but said, "You have to think clearly about the consequences of letting me out." "So, can I trust you?" Wu Chen repeated the question again. Ju Wei stared at Wu Chen's eyes, and in his heart he only felt that Wu Chen looked more and more pleasing to his eyes, but on the surface he looked terrifying and seemed very vicious. "Do you think I can believe this?" After all, it still yelled loudly at the top, as if it was venting the anger in its heart. After doing all this, it quietly glanced at Wu Chen, found that Wu Chen was looking at himself, and quickly withdrew its gaze. Wu Chen chuckled at the corner of his mouth, did not speak, but responded with action. He directly reached out and lifted the seal on the big iron gate. Read more at Wow. The big iron door slowly opened, and then slowly disappeared. Then, the endless waves of red chakra appeared behind Nine Tails, all rushing towards Wu Chen. Seeing all this, Wu Chen didn't make any blocking movements. Instead, he opened his arms as if he wanted to embrace Nine Tails. Outside, sitting cross-legged, Wu Chen appeared on the surface of the red translucent tail beast chakra coat. The chakra above his head resembles fox ears, and there are three tails wagging slightly behind his back. As the wave of red chakras in the sealed space enveloped Wu Chen, the number of chakra tails behind Wu Chen in reality began to increase. 4, 5, 6, 9. However, even though there were 9 chakra tails, Wu Chen was not bloody and slowly transformed into the appearance of 9 tails. He is still in the posture of the tail beast chakra's coat, without any other abnormalities. The sealed space should now be called the spiritual space. In the spiritual space, 9 tails roared and rushed in front of Wu Chen. It raised its sharp and long claws and made a gesture of thrusting towards Wu Chen. But Wu Chen still looked at 9 tails full of trust and did not dodge in the slightest. Time seems to be frozen. The giant tail beast is about to kill the fragile human beings. But in the end, the sharp nails of 9 tails stopped 1 centimeter in front of Wu Chen's forehead, and did not move forward a bit. Seeing this scene, Wu Chen couldn't help showing a heartfelt and pleased smile. He stepped forward directly, hugged Ju Wei's fingers, and then climbed up along the fingers. Wu Chen ran over Ju Wei's arms and finally sat down on Ju Wei's huge head. "Hey, stinky kid, I didn't let you sit on my head," Kyuubi said angrily, but instead of shaking his head, he slowly squatted down so that Wu Chen could sit more firmly. "This is Tsunere." Wu Chen understood, and raised his hand to pat the hair on Ju Wei's head. "Ju Lama, I have a name, don't call me stinky kid anymore, I am already an adult." Hollow down pointing triangle. "Cut," Kyuubi said with disdain. "In front of our tail beast, any human being is a stinky kid. However, since you begged me so, then I reluctantly promised you." Wu Chen, this name is so weird." "What's weird? This is a typical Chinese name. After all, I am a Chinese." As Wu Chen lay on Ju Wei's head and chatted with Ju Wei, in reality, the red chakra tail coat on Wu Chen's body slowly converged, and finally disappeared completely. After a while, Wu Chen opened his eyes. When he thought about it, a layer of golden chakra appeared on the surface of his body, as if his whole person was composed entirely of golden light. 9-tailed chakra mode, the initial stage, complete. This stage is the state of Uzumaki Naruto just after the tug of war with 9 tails. As long as you practice hard and cooperate with 9 tails, you can enter the advanced stage of 9 tails chakra. Tail chakra pattern. Simply put, it is the kind with a cloak on the cover of the book. Chapter 101. Compared with the primary form, the advanced form is not only an additional cloak, but also the degree of recognition of the strength of the human column and the amount of chakras that the 9 tails and 9 lamas are willing to provide. The power of the 9-tailed chakra pattern differs greatly depending on the amount of the tail beast chakra. Like Naruto at the beginning, it was only a primary form, because the tail beast chakra in his body was only the part that came in the tug of war, and the 9 lamas were not willing to continue to provide him with chakras. That way, Naruto's strength can only reach the ordinary shadow level, and it can't be long. But when the 9 Lama completely trusted Naruto and were willing to take the initiative to supply his chakras to Naruto, Naruto started the advanced form of the 9-tailed chakra mode. At that time, he immediately jumped to become a powerhouse beyond the 5 shadows, and it was very persistent, because the 9 Lamas were willing to always provide him with the tail beast chakra for him to spend. Wu Chen's state at the moment is in its primary form. However, unlike Naruto's situation, Wu Chen's primary form is not because of anything else, it's just that he has just been able to use the 9-tailed chakra mode and is not proficient. After he is proficient, he can directly enter the advanced form of 9-tailed chakra mode. It is worth mentioning that in addition to the primary and advanced forms of the 9-tailed chakra pattern, there is also an ultimate form. The so-called ultimate form uses 9-tailed chakras on the basis of advanced forms to create a huge 9-tailed form entirely composed of chakras. In this form, the human column power controls all the tail beast chakras, possesses the power of a full tail beast, and can also use ninjutsu and celestial skills, which directly doubles its combat power. However, the ultimate form also requires practice to master. Wu Chen hasn't even mastered the advanced form at this moment, so naturally there is no need to think about the ultimate form. Looking at his golden hands, Wu Chen walked to the mirror and glanced at his handsome face. Yeah, more handsome. With golden light shining, if this starts to fight, then he is definitely the brightest boy on the battlefield. Read more at There is one saying that when the 6 Tao immortal split-tailed beast chakra, he really liked 9 tails too much. Among other things, this 9-tailed chakra pattern alone is beyond the reach of other beasts. At present, only the 9-tailed human column power can use the 9-tailed chakra mode. The human column power of other beasts, even the 8-tailed beast, has no form similar to the 9-tailed chakra. Not only that, but 9 tails are also the most powerful and the most powerful of all the tail beasts. So when Wu Chen planned to seek the power of the tail beast, he directly thought of the 9-tailed beasts instead of other tail beasts. Sometimes, Wu Chen wondered if the heart was directly slanted when the 6 immortals were divided into 10 chakras. At that time, the 6 immortals might think like this: 10 tails are too dangerous to be left alone, so I will divide it into 9. From 1 tail to 9 tails, there are a total of 9-tailed beasts. But how should it be divided? Oh, there is it. 1 piece for 1 tail, 1 piece for 9 tails, 1 piece for 2 tails, 1 piece for 9 tails, 1 piece for 3 tails, 1 piece for 9 tails, 1 piece for 9 tails, and 1 piece for 9 tails. Wait, why is there so much left? Forget it, no matter what. Give 1 more to Yoshio and Yoshio, and you will get the rest for 9 Yoshio. Although there is a suspicion of disrespect for the 6 Tao immortals, the facts may be true. Otherwise, there is no way to explain that 9 tails can have 8-tailed beasts from 1-tailed beast pendant. After defamating the 6 immortals, Wu Chen lifted the 9-tailed chakra mode, then he lay on the bed, his consciousness re-entered the spiritual space, and chatted with the 9 lamas to increase his feelings. There is no venue now, even if he wants to try the power of the 9-tailed chakra mode. Furthermore, the most important thing at the moment is to wait for the advanced completion of Nami Fengshouman and Uchiha to take the soil. Other things can be done by the way, and they cannot be dedicated to distract Wu Chen. While Wu Chen was chatting with Juwei and waiting for the 2 characters to advance, Tony's abnormal situation was noticed by S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau. Iron Man Tony Stark, although he joined SHIELD as an advisor to SHI. It was also because he knew Tony's character and worried that Tony would be offended, S.H.I.E.L.D. chose to let it go. However, the attention still has to be paid attention, and the helping hand is still needed. Therefore, S.H.I.E.L.D. has always known Tony's situation. S.H.I.E.L.D. also knows the cure for palladium poisoning. Looking for a new element to replace the palladium element in the reactor, Tony will no longer be poisoned. This S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau has made some progress. They found the direction of creating new elements in the notes of Howard Stark. Tony's father, the ancestor of S.H.I.E.L.D. But it is a pity that there is no person in S.H.I.E.L.D. that can create new elements, so this can only find an opportunity to inform Tony and let him find it by himself. As for the symptoms of Tony palladium poisoning, S.H.I.E.L.D. also found a special medicine for treating the symptoms but not the root cause: lithium dioxide injection. Lithium dioxide injection can effectively alleviate the symptoms of palladium poisoning, but it only relieves it and does not cure it, and it will relapse. So S.H.I.E.L.D. did not immediately use it for Tony. But today, Natasha, the Black Widow who just lurked into Stark Industries, responded that the reactor in Tony's chest was gone. The reactor is gone, but Tony is still there. Doesn't this mean that all Tony's injuries have been healed? Regardless of how Tony took out the shrapnel in his body and healed the big hole in his chest for the time being, the situation that Tony's problem had been resolved alone caught S.H.I.E.L.D. off guard. Originally, when Tony was truly desperate, S.H.I.E.L.D. was planning to bring the lithium dioxide injection and Howard's notes and relics to Tony. Indirectly, Tony was killed, so that Tony would have a good feeling for S.H.I.E.L.D. Tony's dog temper is destined that he cannot be swayed by things like interests, so the best way to make Tony obedient is to tie him with emotional chains. In the Iron Man 2 movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. did indeed do so. But now, Wu Chen played Shinshoujian, but S.H.I.E.L.D. bureau's crackling abacus fell into the empty space. The occurrence of this change immediately alarmed Nick Fury. After thinking twice, Nick Fury decided to take Howard Stark's notes and relics to find Tony himself. There is no way to send charcoal in the snow, but if you can't even do the icing on the cake, then S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau will simply be dissolved in place. Such a useless organization, won't it be dissolved and left for the new year? However, Nick Fury's wave is not entirely the icing on the cake. Finding new elements to upgrade the micro-reactor and reconciling Tony and his father is also a big help for Tony. In fact, Tony cares about his father Howard very much, and because of the lack of love from his father Howard in the process of growing up, Tony will become the appearance of the playboy before. So Nick Fury's wave is not a gift in the snow, nor is it icing on the cake. It should probably be regarded as a charity. Read more at Generally Speaking, S.H.I.E.L.D. can still make a good impression on Tony. Ever since, Nick Fury took notes and the relics of a suitcase, and found Tony in a hurry. Stark, I found your father's notes and relics when I was organizing things recently. This may be for you. Upgrading your reactor is very helpful. After speaking this big string of words, Nick Fury noticed that Tony and his assistant Pepper Potts were hugging each other and seemed to be kissing. When Tony accidentally broke into the scene of Tony and Pepper, Nick Fury was almost driven out by Tony. Fortunately, he waved the notes in his hand and kept his position of drinking a cup of tea at Tony's house. Old man's notes. Tony took the notes and the relic curiously, and looked directly at Nick Fury without guarding against Nick Fury. After looking at it for a while, Tony frowned and began to look at the relics in the suitcase. After looking for it for a long time, he looked up and saw Nick Fury looking over curiously, and said angrily, "The tea has been drunk, don't you want to leave?" "Oh, I'm thinking why the reactor in your chest is gone." Nick Fury didn't hide it. He was also very interested in this situation. "You said this." Tony paused. "This is a great person introduced to me by a friend of mine, and he helped me heal him." "Your friend? Awesome people. Who are they?" Nick Fury still wanted to ask the truth, but Tony sent the guest directly. "Think for yourself, I won't betray my friends casually." Sending away Nick Fury, Tony took out a videotape from the relic suitcase and played it. And Nick Fury, who is starting the car and preparing to return, is thinking about who Tony is talking about. Tony's friend, and he knows great people, it must not be Colonel Rhodes. Who is that? Who would be friends with Tony? Nick Fury's eyes lit up. He thought of Tony's frequent visits to Wu Chen's place recently. Suddenly, a series of associations appeared in Nick Fury's mind. Wu Chen does not have the ability to treat or medical treatment, and Shinshoujian also looks like this. So, has Konoha sent another powerful person? It looks like we have to find time to meet Wu Chen, the S.H.I.E.L.D. consultant. Nick Fury was thinking of Wu Chen, but Wu Chen was very excited at the moment. 4 generations of Naruto Wave Fengshouman right pointing arrow. The 4th Ninja World War Wave Fengshouman 9 Tails Chakra Mode. In the advanced stage, there are still 00 days, 00 hours, 00 minutes, and 00 seconds left for the advancement. The advancement is complete. Congratulations to the host for playing the character of the 4th generation of Naruto Heifunctionman for successfully progressing to the 4th Ninja World War Namazuman 9 Tails Chakra mode. Play the character advanced. The progress of the play continues. The host gets the number of times the character is drawn once. The advancement is finally complete. The system did not deceive people, it really gave a number of draws. New Akatsuki member, here I am. Wu Chen did not immediately experience the meaning of the 9-tailed chakra mode of Bofeng Shuaman, but planned to conduct a wave of character selection first. How to continue to do things to increase the progress of the acting, Wu Chen has planned a lot in the past month. It can be said that he has planned all the plans for a long period of time, and now only the characters from all parties are in place. The first to bear the brunt is the Thor incident and the Iron Man 2 incident. According to Wu Chen's plan, in these two incidents, he needed members of the Shao organization to participate in the war. The MIDI government has classified Akatsuki as a super-powered terrorist organization. If this is the case, isn't it because Akatsuki doesn't engage in trouble, isn't it sorry for this position? The Bofeng Water Gate has already been advanced and can't run, Wu Chen can experience it anytime. Now, let's first extract the characters of Akatsuki's organization before talking about others. Because the Thor incident and the Iron Man 2 incident occurred almost at the same time, but the locations of the two incidents were very far away. Even if you run on both sides of the soil, it is difficult to take care of it at the same time. Therefore, one member of the Akatsuki organization participating in the war this time is naturally not enough, there must be at least 3 or 4. Take the Soil 1, the Water Gate, and take the Soil Advanced rewards for the 2 role-playing opportunities, each draws 1 Akatsuki member. So there are 3, barely enough points. In Wu Chen's plan, he took 2 to deal with the Thor incident alone, and let the other 2 members of the Shao organization deal with the plot of Iron Man 2. After all, after bringing the soil into the double divine eternal eyes, the strength is greatly increased, and there is no problem with one person sharing a location. This treatment is not just to participate in the event, but to drop the tail beast into these 2 events, and then forcefully cut in to catch the tail beast. This will definitely increase the playing progress of Akatsuki members, because their mission is to catch the tail beast. And at that time, it was the 9-tail water gate that was aligned with the soil. The ability to carry soil is destined for ordinary people to have nothing to do with him. Although Chinsho Janma is strong, he doesn't know the intelligence with the soil, he is likely to lose the battle. But Bofeng Shuaman defeated Dai Tu before, and now his strength is greatly enhanced. Such a wave of wind and water is obviously more suitable for confrontation with soil. This is the case on Thor's side, and this is what Wu Chen planned on the New York side. The members of the Shao organization learned through information channels that Wu Chen, the 9-tailed man Zuli, was staying in a certain place in the city with no intention of hiding. As a result, they thought Wu Chen was provoking, so they planned to attack the 2 members together and arrest 9 Tails. It just so happened that the time of their assault was exactly when the Iron Man 2 incident occurred. In general, Wu Chen thought this way, and now only 2 members of the Shao organization are in place. Member of Shao organization, Wu Chen muttered, and at the same time began to draw. Ding, the character is being drawn. Following the system's words, a series of figures flashed through Wu Chen's mind. In the end, the picture in my mind stayed on a handsome young man wearing a black robe with red clouds, a golden single ponytail, a special device in his left eye, a mouth in each hand and a tongue out. It turned out to be him. Wu Chen was a little surprised. Ding! Congratulations to the host for being drawn to play the role, Naruto World Akatsuki, the Azure Dragon, Deidara. Unexpectedly, he would get the explosive artist Deidara. Wu Chen began to recall Deidara's abilities in his mind. Deidara can use clay to create blasting dolls, which can be powerful or small, with excellent functionality and amazing destructive power. Especially that Trixie 4 Galero can create countless tiny bombs that are invisible to the naked eye and enter the enemy's body. After detonation, the opponent will directly turn into powder, which is very scary. However, although Deidara's abilities are very strong, he will be restrained by Thunder Dunge and Illusion. Deidara lost twice in his life, once by Uchiha Itachi's illusion, and once by Sasuke's illusion and thunder. It can be said to be quite restrained. Fortunately, there is only one person with soil in the Marvel World illusion, and other people, even if it is Loki's illusion, can't help Deidara. Even on some occasions, Deidara will play a more powerful role than Pen. Of course, that said, but if Pen can be drawn, Wu Chen still thinks Pen is better. After successfully extracting members of the Shao organization, Wu Chen felt a little relieved. After that, just wait for another hour and wait for the advancement of the soil to be completed, and then you can continue to extract the characters of the Akatsuki organization. Now, I am idle anyway, it is better to continue chatting with the 9 llamas to increase the relationship. As a result, Wu Chen suppressed the excitement in his heart, sank his consciousness into the spiritual space, found a comfortable place on Juwei, leaned on Juwei, and started talking to it. An hour passed in a flash. Mysterious mask male Uchiha with soil right pointing arrow double god kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes Uchiha with soil eternal eyes in the advanced stage. The time required for the advancement is 00 days, 00 hours, 00 minutes, 00 seconds. The advancement is complete. Congratulations to the host for playing the role of the mysterious mask male Uchiha with the soil for successfully progressing to the twin gods kaleidoscope writing round eyes Uchiha with the soil eternal eye. Play the character advanced. The progress of the play continues. The host gets the number of times the character is drawn once. After getting the chance to play the role, Wu Chen didn't delay, and directly muttered the Shao organization in his heart, and then started the second time today to play the role. Ding! The character is being drawn. Following the system's words, a series of figures flashed through Wu Chen's mind. In the end, the picture in my mind stayed on the 6 people who were wearing red cloud robes with black background, orange hair, black nails inlaid everywhere, and gray-purple circles with eyes like arrow targets, standing together. And behind them, there was another young man sitting on a special instrument with black iron rods inserted behind his back. His eyes were gray-purple circles, long burgundy hair, and a scrawny young man. Ding! Congratulations to the host for being drawn to play the role, the Naruto World Akatsuki Organization Akatsuki Zero Burial Pain 6 Vortex Nagato. It really is Pen. Wu Chen jumped up excitedly. He wants to go out and buy lottery tickets right away, maybe he won $1 billion. The luck is so good that I can get what I want directly. Am I the son of the system? The system cannot give birth, please take care of yourself. Wu Chen stopped thinking about it, but the smile on his face still couldn't stop. Hey, have you encountered any good things? You are my man Zuli, and you are so impatient, what do you look like? Nine-tailed voice appeared in Wu Chen's heart, and he could share his sight with Wu Chen. But there is no way to see everything in the system. 9 Llama, do you remember the acting system I told you about? I got a character who has the eyes of reincarnation. Wu Chen remembered the saying, share your happiness, you can reap double or even more happiness, and he told Kyuubi about his winning the jackpot. After 9 tails made, what? Eyes of reincarnation, isn't that the eyes of the old man in the 6 ways? Wu Chen did feel that he was happier. Then what are you going to do next? Juwei lay in Wu Chen's spiritual space and asked Wu Chen. What's next? When Juwei said this, Wu Chen's excitement eased a little. He suddenly realized that his plan needs some changes. Read more at After all, there are 6 Uzumaki Nagato pain, this one has 7. Although there are only 6 people who can fight, this should not be underestimated. So Wu Chen said to Juwei, Ju Lama, aren't you bored in the spiritual space? Then I will show you a big show. What's the big show? At that time you will know. Then, Wu Chen ignored the 9 llamas and began to think. In my previous plan, the general direction does not need to be changed, but the small details need to be changed. However, before the change, you must first understand how the 6 ways of pen of Uzumaki Nagato came out. Should he play the Uzumaki Nagato and send Pain the 6 Dao directly, or do I need Wu Chen to catch 6 people and make it into the Pen Lu Dao? How to figure it out? It's very simple, just play the role of Uzumaki Nagato and it's over. Therefore, Wu Chen immediately played the role of Uzumaki Nagato. The next second, a strange instrument appeared in the room, and on top of that instrument, the scrawny Nagato was fixed in the instrument. Hi! Wu Chen couldn't help crying out painfully. After playing the role of Nagato, he felt pain all over his body. Summer pain from the iron rod on the back, and summer pain inherent in Nagato's body. Although it was painful, Wu Chen also understood how pain played the 6 ways. So first he dismissed the role of Nagato, Wu Chen resumed his appearance, and then activated the shadow clone technique to separate 6 shadow clones. Then, let one of the shadow avatars act as Nagato, and Wu Chen's body touched the shadow avatar that became Nagato together with the remaining 5. Wow! In the next second, the 6 ways of pain appeared. Pen's 6-way Uzumaki Nagato's way of playing is different from the past. He is divided into main and secondary roles. The main role is Uzumaki Nagato's body, and the secondary role is the 6 ways of pain. The main actor Wu Chen can play directly, and the secondary role needs to play the main role first, and then touch the main role to play. So, this is really just picking one character to play, and sending 6 characters to play. Wu Chen, who played Cheng Tiandao, looked at himself, and then at the pain standing next to him, and immediately decided that on the New York side, Uzumaki Nagato alone could handle it, and let Deidara and take the soil to Thor's side. This is also just right. Akatsuki's tradition is a 2-person action, and Alfie and Deidara happen to be a pair of partners. On Konoha's side, it was Bo-Fung Shuiman alone who was lining up with the 2 people. Sensho Zuma wanted to stay in New York with Wu Chen himself. In this way, the victory and defeat of the 2 sides can already be determined. When you can pick up characters again later, you have to engage some of the strong people in Konoha village. Otherwise, there will be an imbalance between good and evil. Speaking of the strong, Wu Chen thought that he had not yet experimented with the 6 paths of Watergate, Bring Earth, Deidara, and Pain. Therefore, he who played Tiandao directly cancelled the role, and then separated into 3 shadow clones, playing the roles of the 9-tail Watergate, the eternal eyes of the 2 gods, and Deidara. Knowing the main body's mind, as soon as the Bo Feng Shui gate came out, he directly activated the 9 tails chakra mode. The whole body was gleaming, and the bright gold 9-tailed chakra completely covered the Bo Feng water gate, and his cloak became crystal clear gold. At the same time, a strong coercion appeared from Bo Feng Shuiman, and it continued to spread around. Noting this situation, Bo Feng Shuiman frowned, suppressed a little, and closed the 9-tailed chakra pattern, and the coercion disappeared. The same is true with Soil. He wears his new look, a black robe with red clouds, and the mask on his head is not the previous goose yellow and black striped mask, nor the one-eyed whirlpool mask that Afei wore, but the 3-goad jade from the 4th World War right round eye mask. It was the white mask with both eyes revealed and capable of covering the entire head, with only the back of the head exposed outside. After all, Shaolun's eyes are not blank eyes. The mask will block the line of sight and affect the performance of strength. At this moment, the kaleidoscope in the 2 eyes of the Soil slowly turned, and a closer look showed that in addition to the original hook sickle, the triangle dart had 3 more small hook sickles. Obviously this is what the eternal eyes look like after the fusion of 2 pairs of homologous kaleidoscopes. Wu Chen looked at this pair of eternal kaleidoscopes, and he felt the pressure brought by it, like a tide. Not only that, the eyes seemed to have magical powers, and they couldn't help but look at them. At this time, as long as you bring the Soil to launch the illusion, the hit rate is 100%. The image of Deidara is the same as the illustrated book at the time of extraction. Blonde ponytail, handsome in appearance, but the mouth on his hands is a little losing. Seeing that the 3 shadow avatars played the 3 well respectively, the main body Wu Chen played the heavenly Dao Pain again. For a time, a total of 10 people gathered in this small bedroom with 6 roads including Heifengmazuman, Uchiha Dado, Deidara, and Pen plus Whirlpool Nagato. Suddenly, this made the bedroom more cramped and crowded. Fortunately, at this time, Bring the Soil directly activated the ability, summoned the whirlpool, and sucked everyone in. Read more at if you want to test the advanced water gate, Bring Soil, and the strength of the newly summoned Deidara and Pen 6 Dao, you can't do without a suitable training ground. And the training ground is naturally a supernatural space with Soil. This space was used by Wu Chen in this way before, and it will naturally not change now. However, as soon as he entered the divine power space, Wu Chen, who played the heavenly path, realized that this divine power space seemed a little different. The original Shenwei space was composed of islands floating in the void, but now those islands are all linked together, forming a whole. Is it because the riding wheels gathered together and became the eyes of eternity? Wu Chen looked at Zidi, and Zidi nodded. In this case, everyone should spread out a little bit and don't affect other people. So, in addition to Uzumaki Nagato, the remaining 9 people scattered directly around and started the ninjutsu bombing test. Bofeng Shuaman directly opened the Nine Tails Chakra mode, and in this mode, launched his own kill, spiral flashing flying wheel dance roar 4 styles. First, the three-pointed kunai is scattered like a flower, and then the shadow clone is activated, and the shadow clone is separated so that it will flash between the three-pointed kunai and launch an attack. The main water gate is to condense the large jade spiral pill, and finally, together with the clone water gate, use the large jade spiral pill to attack the enemy that is struck and take off at the same time. The advantage of this move is that it is fast and powerful enough, and the enemy has no time to react, so he is beaten to the stunned by a series of strokes and then killed directly. The disadvantage is that it requires a very high response rate. Only after opening the Nine-Tailed Chakra mode, Bofeng Shuaman's reaction can achieve this, otherwise, in normal state, even he himself can't use this trick. It can be said that after opening the Nine-Tailed Chakra mode, the water gate's reaction speed has reached the limit of human beings. What's more rare is that in this mode, his body can keep up with his reaction speed. Compared to the wave of the wind and water gate, Uchiha's belt soil is much simpler. His other abilities haven't changed much, the only change is to complete the Divine Power Kaleidoscope, and to upgrade the Shalunian to the Eternal Eye. Therefore, Take the Soil first simply tested the long-range Divine Power attack, that is an attack caused by directly distorting the space. How powerful is the space? In Fulian 3, one of Thanos' strongmen, the portal opened by the Mage King directly cut off his palm. This can be seen. Phew, a whirlpool appeared in the distance, directly tearing the boundary of the Divine Power space. After experimenting with Shinwei, his eyes condensed with soil, and then he started Susanoo Nohu. Wow, the cyan bust frame appeared, wrapping the soil in it, and then the skeleton was full of flesh and blood, and slowly turned into a cold general wearing clothes. At this point, there is no follow-up for the time being. Suzuo Nengu, who has just opened the dual power kaleidoscope, is not very proficient. If he wants to come, he will be able to open the 100-meter-high Suzu Nengu completely. If the nine-tailed chakra pattern of Heifeng Suzuman is a light effect, and Uchiha's power and Susanoo are special effects, there is only an explosion in Deidara. Among the people present, Deidara's movement was the biggest. Clay dolls like little spiders, bang. Clay doll like a bird, bang. Strange four-winged bird, bang. Oversized giant flying bird, bang. The flying dragon, which is comparable to a small passenger plane, spit out a lot of birds and spiders, and then, bang bang bang. For Deidara, all his ninjutsu must be able to explode. Can't explode, then this ninjutsu is rubbish. After all, art is an explosion. Ignoring the noise from Deidara, there is nothing to experiment with the 6 people on Pain's 6 ways. The way of hell, summoning and controlling the Pluto, can resurrect the other 5 realms, which is one of the cores of the 6 realms of Pen. The human world has the ability to search for souls. As long as you hold the enemy's head, you can forcibly read the enemy's memory, and then take away the opponent's soul. Animal Dao can channel many powerful and huge psychic beasts, and can bring other 5 psychic beasts over. Hungry Ghost Road, use the seal to form a shield to absorb the enemy's ninjutsu and energy attacks, and is responsible for the defense task in the 6 roads. Shira Road, possesses strange powers, and can use the special spirits of the 6 powers to summon weapons, and serves as the main attack task in the 6 powers of pain. And, the Way of Heaven played by Wuchen Ontology. Tiandao's appearance is the appearance of Uzumaki Nagato's best friend, Yahiko, for the simple reason that Tiandao was made of Yahiko's corpse. It is precisely because of Yahiko's death that Uzumaki Nagato realizes that peace cannot be achieved by fantasy. Everyone must feel pain, so that they can understand each other and achieve true peace. Heavenly Tao is the absolute core of Pen's 6 paths, but its ability is very simple, capable of creating gravitational and repulsive forces. Read more at. However, it was this seemingly simple ability that caused countless heroes to fall into the sand, and even the entire Konoha village was destroyed under this ability. The move to destroy the small city of Konoha village is very simple, that is the move commonly used by Tiandao, Shinra Tianjang. This technique is to create repulsion and directly bounce off all attacks. Whether it is an energy attack or a physical attack, it will be bounced mercilessly. When the chakras are enough, Tiandao flies in the air, and then gathers the whole chakras, and launches the Super Shinra Tianjang, to create a huge spherical repulsion. With Tiandao as the center, Squeeze everything around and flatten it. Eventually a huge spherical crater is formed. Seeing Pen each experimenting with their abilities, Wu Chen suddenly thought, should he imitate the original Pen himself? What do you do for yourself? Isn't it just to get the progress of the play? If you are playing the Way of Heaven, in order to capture the Nine Tails and release a huge Shenluo Tianjiang to the city where the Nine Tails are located, intending to force the Nine Tails out. That way, can you get a lot of progress in the performance? After thinking about it, Wu Chen thought it was very possible. It's just that New York City is too big. Even if it is Super Shinra Tianjiang, it may only cover one district, and there is no way to cover the entire New York. With an idea, Wu Chen thought of the 10-fold multiplier card that had not been used. What about Super Shinra Tianjiang plus a 10-fold multiplier card? Even if it can't cover the entire New York, it should be no problem to knock out a quarter of New York. Thinking of this, Wu Chen trembled with excitement. As long as he thought of launching a ninjutsu and then directly destroying a quarter of New York, Wu Chen felt that he was in control of everything. After the excitement, Wu Chen realized a problem, that is, if he really did that, what should innocent New Yorkers do? You have to have a bottom line, and directly ruin hundreds of thousands of lives. Wu Chen can't do that. In this case, do you want to give up? Wu Chen shook his head. After serious consideration, he had a decision in his mind. There must be a huge Shenluo Tianjiang, but afterwards. With a decision in his mind, Wu Chen returned to his bedroom, and then let all shadow clones be released from the play mode, and the shadow clones were released. Feeling Zhou Fun's memories and Zhou Fun fatigue, Wu Chen drank the anti-fatigue potion while absorbing these. Lying on the bed and experiencing the memories of Bo Feng Shuamen, Wu Chen knew how to enter the advanced stage of nine-tailed chakra mode. Early the next morning, after Wu Chen got up early and had dinner, he separated 5 shadow clones. Let these 5 shadow avatars play the roles of Heifeng Mizumen, Uchiha Dado, Uzumaki Nagato, Tendo, and Senjukuma. Then, Wu Chen drove the dining car to set up a stall selling hamburgers. Bo Feng Shuamen and Senshojian went to shield together. And Uchiha took the soil to suck the Uzumaki Nagato into the divine space, and then took Tiandao together to find Jin and merged. Ontology. Wu Chen has been able to use the advanced stage of the nine-tailed chakra mode, and the strength has reached the ideal level, then he can officially start to act. In front of the shield, Trident building, a golden flash and a stream of water flashed at the same time. Both of them have left the mark of Flying Thunder God at the gate of shield, so they can naturally move over directly. In fact, there is also the imprint of the God of Thunder within shield, but after all, SHI. Inside the shield. At this time, Collison walked out from the door of the building. It's time for the agreed collection, and just finished the task list, ready to come out to find Collison, who meets with 1,000 hands, and he saw this scene. Suddenly, Coulson's eyes lit up, and he trotted to the two of them. Mr. Bofeng, have you completed your training? Mr. Sensho, this is today's task list. Would you like to read it first? With that said, he was also ready to press the headset, intending to report to Nick Fury on the return of Bo Feng Shuamen. Seeing this, Bo Feng Shuamen raised his hand to hold Coulson's hand, and then said softly, "Stop talking here, let's go directly to Director Fury's office." Having said that, he and Chinshojian looked at each other, and then took Collison and Chinshojian together to activate the Thunder God technique and disappeared at the door. You can't break in without permission, but if someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. is there, it's a different matter. Nick Fury is now looking at Wu Chen's information in the office. Yesterday, knowing that Konoha had another powerful ninja coming to New York City, Nick Fury was thinking about what excuse he should use to find Wu Chen's house. For Tony, Nick Fury could still use the excuse of returning Tony's father's relics and notes to Tony's door, but for Wu Chen, after thinking about it, Nick Fury could not find an excuse. Therefore, he intends to look at Wu Chen's materials, in order to get some inspiration. Read more at. However, before he waited for a few minutes, he heard a sound from his desk, and when he looked up, he saw the 3 of Bo Feng Shuamen. Nick Fury was shocked immediately and said to his heart, when did these 2 people leave their mark in their office? In this way, in these days, hasn't he been living in an environment where he could be killed by Chinshojian and Bo Feng Shuamen at any time? After being scared for a while, Nick Fury decided to let the cleaners clean the place well and wash all the walls. But on the surface, he was still calm. Collison. Although Nick Fury didn't say a specific question, Collison immediately understood the situation and told the truth about the situation just now. Oh, that's the case. What do the two Hokage want to do with me, the little director? Nick Fury half laughed at himself, half asked. At this moment, watching Bofeng Shuaman and Qin Shojian standing together, one in his 20s and one in his 30s, Nick Fury couldn't help but lament Konoha's enlightened policy. Why? Because Konoha's Hokage is so young, and the age difference is not big, this does not mean that Konoha's position is not hereditary and lifelong, but an election system. And it's the same as the presidential election of the United States, changing to a Hokage in 3 or 4 years. Otherwise, there is no way to explain the fact that the age difference between Bofeng Shuaman and Qin Shojian is not big, and they are both very young. Wu Chen didn't know Nick Fury's conjecture at this moment. If he knew it, he would definitely praise Nick Fury. Thank you for making an excuse for me. Hearing Nick Fury's inquiry, Bofeng Shuaman looked at Collison. Nick Fury immediately understood what he meant, and said, Collison is credible. There is nothing I can say directly. Seeing this, Bofeng Shuaman directly said, according to our perception ninjutsu test, another tail beast seal has loosened. Quote question mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Nick Fury was so angry that he wanted to scold his mother. Didn't you say that the seal left by the 6 immortals is indestructible? Why is the 9-tailed seal in New York easily unraveled by the masked male A-Fei, and now the other tailed beast seals are loose? Forcibly suppressing the urge to curse, Nick Fury took a deep breath and asked a series of questions. Is that perception ninjutsu detection accurate? What kind of tail beast is the tail beast with a loose seal? Where is it sealed? Could this be another small action made by Akatsuki? Bofeng Shuaman answered one by one. It's very accurate. The change in the seal of the 9 tails was detected by the perception ninjutsu. That ninjutsu was specifically invented to detect the tail beast chakra. The tail beast with a loose seal is one of the 9 big-tailed beasts. It is a huge raccoon dog with a curse print pattern all over the body. It is good at using wind escape and magnetic escape sealing techniques. However, don't think that one tail is weak if there are fewer tails. In fact, the fighting power of one tail is second only to 9 tails and 8 tails. It is sealed in New Mexico, under the sand dunes not far from a small town called Charming Wonderland. As for whether this is something that the Akatsuki organization did, there is no right to speak without investigation. However, I personally think it is probably the Akatsuki's handwriting. It is now certain that Akatsuki's goal is the 9 big-tailed beasts. Bofeng Watergate continued. Although it is not clear what Akatsuki wants to tailed beasts, they have never concealed their goals. Pratunic, your judgment is wrong. Qin Shojian suddenly raised an objection, which made Bofeng Shuaman startled. Master Phaejian, what's wrong? Of course it's them. Senzumi was very serious. So far only one masked man has appeared, and the other Akatsuki members have not seen it. Maybe, Akatsuki only has the masked man. The other people's situations are all performed by the masked men's magic tricks. Bofeng Shuaman's face was full of black lines. Master Shujian, you. Nick Fury couldn't help but cast a suspicious look at Qin Shojian. Seeing this, Bofeng Shuaman knew that he should not be entangled with Qinsho too much, and looked at Nick Fury and said, do you have any questions? Nick Fury immediately retracted his gaze and replied, of course. I want to know why you came to inform me and what are you going to do? Because of the existence of 9 tails and witnessing the occurrence of the 9 tails rebellion with his own eyes, Nick Fury has believed in the existence of the tailed beast. After all, once the tailed beast is out of trouble, it is so big a giant beast, no matter how you think it can be made by fraud. If it is a fake, then they deserve it if they were deceived. So at this moment, Nick Fury didn't doubt Bofeng Shuaman's rhetoric. However, he was very curious that Heifeng Mizuman and Senjuka made a special trip to inform them of the reason for this matter and what Konoha planned to do next. Wait, it wouldn't be like Kyuubi. Also, is one-tailed crane sealed under a sand dune near the small town of Wonderland on Earth, in New Mexico? Read more at Why Does This Place Sound So Familiar? When he was puzzled, Nick Fury saw Collison gesture to him, and suddenly remembered that this is exactly the location of the hammer that fell from the sky according to the intelligence Collison just got. There is a seal there, and the hammer just happened to fall from the sky recently. Is there any relationship between the two? Nick Fury fell into deep thought, but Bo Feng Shuimin directly answered his question. Notify you of the reason. Isn't this what it should be? After all, the seal of the tail beast is on your land. Even if we have the right to suppress, seal, and collect the tail beast, we should at least tell you. Bo Feng Shuimin looked at Nick Fury a little strangely, and then continued to answer, as for what we plan to do. To be precise, it should be what I plan to do. Master Phaegian has other tasks and will not act with me. My word, I want you Shield to entrust me with tasks, just like the previous 9 tails. This can also earn money for Konoha and help you. Hearing Wu Chen say this, Nick Fury gritted his teeth secretly. It's really the same as I guessed. Single quote. Seeing Nick Fury's strange expression, Bo Feng Shuimin wondered, why? Don't you Shield not want to entrust me to try to prevent the task of breaking the seal and sealing the tail? Of course not. Nick Fury only thought for a second before he made a decision. We, Shield, want to entrust you with the wave of Feng Shuimin to prevent one tail from breaking away from the seal, or to wait for the tail to escape and reseal it. Remuneration 10 million. So, Bo Feng Shuimin, are you willing to accept the commission? Of course I am willing to accept it. Compared with a little money, it is better than anything to maintain a good relationship with Konoha village. In other words, if you change to another organization, you want to send money to Konoha. After all, a decent organization like Konoha, if they took their money, would definitely not deal with them, and would even be willing to help them solve a series of intricate problems like they did with Shield. It's just that the funds are a little bit nervous after this. Nick Fury couldn't help thinking. It seems that I have to ask for money again. Shield funds are jointly funded by the United Nations. Therefore, the funding is also wholesaled by the United Nations. After looking at the Bofeng Water Gate and then at the Chinsho Gate, Nick Fury suddenly asked, Mr. Chinsho, can you tell me a little bit about your mission? Don't get me wrong, it's not that I want to spy on Konoha's privacy. It's really because I have seen Kyuubi's power and thought that Mr. Hakata might be unstable alone, so I wondered why you can't go with Mr. Hakata. Quote. After understanding the purpose of Bo Feng Shuimin and what to do, Nick Fury wanted to know the situation of Chinshojianma. Although in this month, Chinshojian helped Shield to complete many tricky tasks, and SHI. They don't know how strong it is. Because Chinshojian didn't make any unreserved shots before, he could solve those tasks after a little hands. However, even though I have never seen the true strength of Chinshojianma, being able to become Hokage should not be weaker than the wave of Feng Shuimin a month ago. Nick Fury thought so. Wait, the wave of Feng Shuimin a month ago. Bo Feng Shuimin has been closed for a month. He is to become a perfect person, so he concentrates on practicing. Now that he is out, can it be said that he has become a perfect man and his strength has been greatly improved? Thinking of this, Nick Fury couldn't help but cast an inquiring look at Bo Feng Shuimin. Before Bo Feng Shuimin had time to understand Nick Fury's meaning, Chinshojian's answer confirmed Nick Fury's conjecture. Watergate has reached a reconciliation with 9 tails, and has become a perfect human pillar, and his strength has been upgraded to the Super Shadow level. So he can completely suppress one tail alone, and the guys who are making trouble don't need the help of others. Pradanam, show us Director Fury, so that he can be at ease. Hearing Chinshojian's arrangement, Bo Feng Shuimin nodded helplessly, and then took 2 steps back and turned on the 9-tailed chakra mode. A wave of air appeared out of thin air, and only the golden wave at the foot of the water door spread to the surroundings, blowing all the paper on Nick Fury's desk. There is such a power without hands, what kind of scene should be after the shot? Nick Fury was stunned, and Collison was almost the same. Afterwards, Bo Feng Shuimin closed the 9-tailed chakra pattern and nodded to the 2 of them. It is true that as Master Shuima said, I can handle the 1-tailed side alone. Then, Chinshojian continued to speak. As for my words, Director Fury, you seem to be curious about my strength. The pressure in Chinshojian's eyes made Nick Fury a little bit scared. My hard power is similar to that of the current Watergate, but the combat power is higher low, you have to fight to know. Withdraw my sight, Chinsho gaze at Bofeng Watergate. How about we fight? Read more at Seeing Chinshojian full of fighting spirit, Bo Feng Shuimin had a headache. No, you are much better than me. So we don't have to fight, I give up. Cut. Boring. Thousands of hands stared at the feng shui men, then looked at Nick Fury, and continued to answer his questions. As for my mission, it's not a secret. It's okay to tell you. I'm here to protect someone, so I stay in New York. Chinshojian's answer made Nick Fury silently determined to raise the Chinshojian's files by several levels of confidentiality. The same is true for Bofeng Shuimin. A month ago, the Bofeng Watergate was already so powerful, and now Nick Fury has seen the new method of Bofeng Watergate. With enhanced strength, how powerful should the current wave of Watergate be? Also, what is the real strength of Chinsho Jianjian? Super shadow level, is this a term used by ninjas to measure their strength? It's like a great magician or something. I remember that Bofeng Shuimin said before that he was a strong shadow rank. But to protect someone, the image of Wu Chen popped out of Nick Fury's mind, as the person to protect Wu Chen, Mr. Bo Fang's apprentice. Thousands of hands nodded and explained. The masked man of the Akatsuki organization has some strength. Since they are eyeing the tail beast, there is no reason to let go of Wu Chen, the nine-tailed man. Although this kid Wu Chen is talented and intelligent, he has become a perfect man with Watergate, but after all, he has not been a ninja for a long time and is not experienced enough. If you face the masked man, the **** will lose. Therefore, I will come to New York during the Watergate retreat, not only to continue to establish contact with you, but also to protect the kid. However, that kid is also stubborn to die. If he goes to Konoha with me, nothing will happen. I have to stay here and say, New York is my home, I won't leave here, if. You know, my eldest brother Chizuzuma, Konoha's first generation of Naruto, the god of ninjas, but sitting in Konoha, even if Akatsuki has 10 courage, he dare not break into Konoha. Fortunately, that kid now has some strength, and he can just temper his will and gain experience in the possible disaster. Otherwise, he will be a little weaker, and I will catch him back to Konoha. After listening to Chinshojian's explanation, Nick Fury couldn't help but widen his eyes. Wu Chen has also become a perfect person, so isn't he, like Bo Feng Shui Men, also a super shadow level powerhouse? Wait, it's a matter of experience. Perhaps because of this, Wu Chen's strength is slightly weaker than the super shadow grade, so should it be a shadow grade? The shadow level is the wave of the Watergate a month ago, that is also very strong. It seems that the attitude towards Wu Chen will be better in the future. Nick Fury made up his mind secretly. Then he realized that he just seemed to have overlooked a message. After a pause, Nick Fury thought of what Chinshojian had just said. His eldest brother Senjujuma, Konoha's first Motokage, the god of ninjas. Mr. Senju, you just said that Konoha sits with your eldest brother, the first generation of Naruto, the god of ninja Senjujuma. Nick Fury hit the point. What does the god of ninja mean? What is your eldest brother? God. Hearing Nick Fury's words, he rolled his eyes with 1,000 hands. Where is the true omnipotent god in this world? The so-called god is just another powerful creature. My elder brother can be said to be the most powerful ninja, so he is known as the god of ninjas. The most powerful ninja. Nick Fury couldn't imagine. After all, he couldn't even imagine the power of Nine-Tail Watergate and Senjuka. Seemingly knowing that Nick Fury's imagination is poor, Chinshojian explained, in short, I am like this, my elder brother can hang with one hand. Well, the same is true for Watergate. This is much simpler and more intuitive. Nick Fury finally understands the power of Senjuan, but he still can't believe it. If he hadn't seen Bofeng Shuimin and Chinshojian with his own eyes, Nick Fury would never believe that human beings could be so powerful. Therefore, Nick Fury would not believe in the power of Senjujuma before seeing Senjujuma with his own eyes. However, this does not affect Nick Fury's continued conversation with Senshusuma and Bofeng Shuimin. Mr. Bofeng, when are you going to leave for New Mexico? Let's set off in a while. Although the situation is not very urgent, I need to check the first seal situation first. Bofeng Shuimin thought for a while and replied. Then can you bring Collison with you? It happened to be near the first seal, where a hammer fell from the sky. Collison is going to investigate this matter. Nick Fury thought for a while, and said frankly, it just so happens that Coulson can record your combat effectiveness, which can make many people feel at ease. For a strong man like Bofeng Shuimin, there is no benefit in concealing it. Nick Fury knew this well, so he directly explained his original intention. Record, do you use a camera? Bo Feng Shuimin was a little curious. Well, Collison will carry a miniature camera with him to record the whole process of the mission. Nick Fury said truthfully. Read more at yes, just record it if you want. I don't dislike it, Bo Feng Shui Mentan said. Yes, because the distance is too far, and there is no mark of the Flying Thor in New Mexico, so we must first just drive there. As he said, he turned his head to look at Collison. Collison, how are your driving skills? For driving, I'm still a little confident. Collison smiled. Then it's okay. Bo Feng Shuimin nodded. Should we start now? It is good. So, Bo Feng Shuimin took Coulson's ride, and Qin Shoujian continued to do the task. Although he said he wanted to protect Wu Chen, there is no abnormal situation now. Wu Chen, the shadow clone who plays Qin Shoujian, feels that it is better to continue to play Qin Shoujian. Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief when everyone in the office left. He leaned back on the chair, showing rare fatigue. In the face of these strong men, Nick Fury was not as unwavering and calm as it appeared on the surface. He tightened his body all the time and concentrated on it. This is very energy and physical, and Nick Fury is exhausted at this moment. Fortunately, this state only lasted for a while, and Nick Fury returned to normal. He didn't dare to let anyone see him just now. As Bo Feng Shuimin once said, the situation inside S.H.I.E.L.D. is not good, and Nick Fury has never forgotten it. But after he secretly searched, he did find some clues. However, there is no conclusive evidence now, and it is not a wise move to provoke a horror. However, Nick Fury never thought that, except for a few people, the other people in S.H.I.E.L.D. were all undercover Hydra. In other words, Nick Fury is the snake that stuns the snake. On the other side, when Taito and Tiandao appeared in front of Jin Bin was shocked. After a month of cultivation, Jin Bin's chakra volume has already reached the level of an ordinary shadow-level powerhouse. The Shark series of water escape ninjutsu Jinwei also successfully practiced, and he and the big sword shark muscle also cultivated enough tacit understanding, coupled with the time to practice the sword skills. Jinwei is now a thorough shadow-level powerhouse. There is one thing to say, compared with Wu Chen, Jin he is the real ninja genius. If Jin is not born in the Naruto world, he must be the top strongest ninja. The improvement of hard power brings not only the improvement of combat effectiveness, but also the perception ability. After seeing the soil clearly and feeling the familiar cold breath, Jin Ping slowly half-kneeled down. My lord. The corners of the mouth with soil under the mask slightly cocked, and he could also feel Jin Bian's strength at this moment. However, it is not the time to say this. The masked man stepped back a little bit, gave up his position to Tiandao, and gestured to Jin. This is the leader of our Shao organization, Shaoji Zero Burial, Pain 6. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.